We back. The Brothers from Inglewood podcast once again, coming to you live and direct with some real and raw, relevant stuff. Looking forward to chopping it up once again with my co-host Charley Mack. And before I introduce our topic today, I want to throw it to him and let Charley Mack holler at you.
Hey, how you guys doing? First of all, we don't own the rights to this music. We sure gonna listen to it.
Yes, sir.
We got another interesting topic for you guys. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully it'll hit home to some of you guys. So without further ado, go ahead and strap in them seat belts. We get ready to get this car spinning. So come on, let's get it going.
Well said, bro. Good to be back in the studio with you. And interesting topic. Comes in the form of a question, but super deep. Simplistic, but I think it's deep enough for us to kind of pull some things out of it. Is it ever enough?
Is it ever enough?
Is it ever enough stemming from just everyday life, the things that we face, and the challenges of it? You know, does it really, does it ever subside? Does it ever end? So I'll throw it to you first, and you can throw it back at me.
Okay.
Is it ever enough, bro?
Okay. It's funny when we sat down and we brainstormed this particular topic, and this particular topic is pretty broad. When we can grab a lot of different things from the topic, but for me, when is it ever enough? For me, that meaning is personal. When is it ever enough? Is it ever enough? Because sometimes we find ourselves as individuals being the givers in friendships and in relationships and in just our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
And you give, and you never really get anything back from the giving. I found myself, and anybody who knows me, they know that if they're in my circle, which my circle's not that big, but if you're somebody who I love and you're a friend and anything like that, you know that I'm a giver. And I'm going to give you the wisdom that I have. I'm going to give you, the time when I have it to give. I'm going to give you material possessions, anything that comes along with giving. I'm here to give, because I feel like if you are somebody in my circle and if you're somebody who I care about, that's my job to give.
Gotcha.
It's my job to try to make you wiser. It's my job to share my life experiences with you so you don't have to fall into that trap. And sometimes people think, you think you know a lot. Well, it's not that I think I know a lot, but I've been through a lot in my life. And I've been around the block a few times, and when I try to share my wisdom and everything else I might have to share with someone, it ain't something that I read in a book. It's something that I'm giving you from my life experience, firsthand experience, so that you don't have to walk down that path. And then a lot of times people, they take it for granted. And that's why when you just like, is it ever enough? Sometimes you get tired of giving your all when it's not reciprocated.
Gotcha. Yeah, that well said, because I can relate in the same sense of tirelessly putting yourself out there, in the way of a sacrifice, but also out of love, out of respect, out of concern, out of just being genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are reluctant to receive from someone who's genuine, because they've been burned so many times.
Man.
They're so leery of everyone. Automatically a defensive mechanism comes up. Oh, what does he want? Oh, it's this here we go again. And even when you're just giving of yourself and you're doing it, whether it's your children, whether it's your spouse, a girlfriend, a friend, your consistency speaks for itself.
Right.
And then you start to look back and you say, wow, the more I give, the more they want, but it's never really appreciated. It's almost like they take you for granted. Like I used to always say to my children, I would say, I'm not the fun dad. I'm not that guy who looks forward to getting you on the weekends.
So you can get on my back and give you a piggyback ride, and
only to finance
right
your goals for the week.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
If I get with dad, I can get a toy. If I get,
right.
So I used to go there only when they weren't receptive to my discipline, right? So if you offer something, and I don't have those kind of kids. Honestly, my kids were never ungrateful. You give them something, they wanted more, or they wanted designer things. They weren't those kind of kids,
right.
Or they're not those kind of kids. But sometimes, every now and again, you had to help them understand that today we're not going on roller coasters. We going to the library.
Right.
We're gonna read some books.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a drive, and we're gonna, I want to show you guys, some things, and kids are kids. You got to train them. But then when they get old enough to kind of sort things out, and mine are relatively very young, but even when they get older, you still expect a certain level of reciprocation.
Yeah.
And fathers, we want a little love too. We want to be celebrated every now and again. Give us some flowers.
Yeah.
Give us some balloons.
Yeah.
So, when you talk about the subject, when
is it ever enough?
Is it ever enough? You start to ponder in your head, like, I can't keep just giving like this and nothing is being returned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm empty.
Yeah.
Who's gonna pour into me now?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know. I mean, and it's funny that we brought up this topic because it makes me think about other things, and I'm sure that people are listening. They can probably relate to some of the stuff that we're talking about and some of the stuff that we're gonna talk about in the next 5 or 10 minutes. But it's funny because I had a interesting encounter with one of my daughters, and it was like we talking about, like, when is it ever enough, or is it ever enough? And I found myself being that dad who every time she needed something, she would call dad, Dad, I need this, Dad, I need that. First she would smooth me over a little bit and make a little small talk, and and then she hit me. And I'm sure that there's other parents out there, probably mothers and fathers, that can probably relate to what I'm saying. But then it comes a time when you say, this is my daughter or my son, and why not? You just keep giving and giving and giving, and because you're like, well, why not? But then you start feeling like, well, am I being used?
Yeah.
I mean, you start to feel that way, even though these are your parents.
That's human nature.
You start saying, well, am I being used? And it makes you say, well, dang, do I need to take another hard look at this?
Yeah.
And finally, I had to just tell my daughter, like, look, I feel like every time, you call me, it's because you're asking for something. And she was honest. She was like, yeah, yeah. But I'm like, well, where is this coming from? Look, man, everybody's different. Every child is different. Yeah. Some children really genuinely love their mothers and fathers. Some feel like, okay, well, you're my mom and dad, so you're supposed to give. Yeah. And we got a lot of kids out there who feel that way. They feel like, well, you're my mom and you're my dad, so whatever I need, you're supposed to give it to me. Right. But it makes you as a person feel like, like stepped on. You know, like should I keep being this person's doormat, whether they're my son, daughter, or whatever, or should I say, hey, you know what? Let me put the brakes on this thing and be like, you know, when is it enough? Is it ever enough?
Right.
And it makes you think like, is it ever enough?
Right. No, I totally get that we're to give with sincerity, and we should give without expectation of someone giving back to us. But you got to draw the line in a sense of respect, and you got to call it what it is. Either you're a taker
Or you're a giver.
or you're a giver, because some people are on the take. And I'm not speaking of your daughter. I'm not speaking of my children.
Yeah, you're just speaking just in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying,
And you're right.
and all ages.
No, you're right.
You know, you could be 65, you could be 12. A taker is a taker.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna kid you, man. I know a couple of guys. They takers, dude.
Oh, I know a lot of them.
They you know.
I know a lot of them.
It's all about
What they
can get.
What they can gain from you.
It is not.
Yeah.
It's never a dual situation to where they're gonna do for you.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like,
If they can't benefit from you,
this is bizarre.
yeah, I know.
You know, and so I've learned to assess it like you have. You've reassessed what that looks like, and you proceeded accordingly. I don't believe we owe anyone anything except to love them.
Yeah.
And to show respect. Even if a person doesn't respect themselves, you shouldn't disrespect them.
Yeah.
If you don't want to deal with them, then don't deal with them.
Yeah.
But don't be disrespectful because they're disrespectful to you. I know that's hard to do. People would say, "Oh, that's in a perfect world." No, it's not, because you don't always have to deal with that element. You can excuse yourself and move forward. So when is it ever enough? And you've had these relationships and friendships for years, and one day you realize, you pop up and say, I can't do it anymore. I'm cool.
Is it ever enough?
You know, because everything that I've brought to the table hasn't been significant enough for them to reciprocate it.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna drain me and drain me and drain me
If you allow them to.
if you allow them.
And let me get a stab at it. But it's so funny that you brought up a topic about how people can, just they're takers or whatever. But I got another word for it, and the word is called opportunist.
Yes.
And it brings up a perfect opportunist.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell this story, and I'm not gonna put the person's name out there, but I'm gonna tell this story because I think I told it to you about a month or two ago, and this really, it even it even surprised me for him. And I know this guy's a total opportunist, and I've always known that, but it even surprised me that he would do it. So this particular guy, he knows that I'm looking for an agent, a commercial agent, theatrical agent, whatever. He knows it. He's in the business. I'm in the business. So he's the type of guy where he's only gonna get involved in your life if he can get something from you. If he can get anything out of you, he'll. It's almost kind of like a cat and mouse thing where you're playing chess. He'll say, "Ooh, well, I know I'm gonna hit him up in another month for a favor, so let me do something good. So when I ask for that favor, he'll be more inclined to do it." So anyway, this guy, he called me up and he goes, he said, "Hey, look, man, you still looking for an agent?" I said, yeah. He goes, "Well, look, I got somebody, and I've already told him about you. I'm gonna give you, no, here's his number. Call him up. He's expecting your call." Man, do you know this dude gave me, first of all, the numbers, area code didn't match with Hollywood. Period. The area code he gave me matched with something up in the IE or up in the high desert.
Okay.
So that was already raised a few eyebrows. I'm like, well, why is the number 661 area code?
Mm-hmm.
I said,
That's
whatever.
high desert.
That's Lancaster, Palmdale.
Right.
So I'm like, whatever. So I call the number, leave the message. The guy never picks up, whatever. I'm leaving messages. I send the guy some of my headshots or whatever, you know. Man, come to find out that this dude is so desperate and he's such an opportunist to where he had another extra phone with that number on it, and it was his number. And he pretended like he had an agent for me, so that when he comes back to me in another month or two or whatever and asks for a favor,
he can say he hooked you up. So now hook me up. Wow.
But that's how he lived his life. This is the same guy that would come down from the high desert, and like I said, I ain't gonna mention his name, and get free haircuts from you and make up a story.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy would come down.
You want one free, just say that, but don't
come down and try to play me.
Yeah, don't.
Like, dude, I ain't no square. I done been around the block a few times. I mean, I may look like I'm a square, but come on, dude. This is the oldest trick in the book. But this is how this guy lived his life. Wow. And that's why he hasn't gotten further in this industry. Yeah. Because he's been in it for a long time. Is he still in the industry? He's still in the industry, but he's not everything really came to his heart because once people know him and learn him, they're like, oh, this guy's an opportunist. Yeah. We know what this guy's up to. We know and that's how he comes off. I mean, I told you when I first met the guy almost 20 years ago, I didn't even know the guy a week, and the guy was like, hey, man, can you give me $2,000? I'm looking at this dude like, dude, I don't even know you.
You knew you was balling.
Yeah, we ain't sleeping together, homie. I just saw him, dude.
You knew you was balling, dude.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, dude, really?
Right.
But this is who this guy was.
Right.
But that goes back to me saying, you know, is it ever enough? Sometimes, man, you got to just cut people off right where they stand. Yeah. Because they will continue to vulturize you. Yeah. Because this is their nature.
Yeah. Now, when we speak of that, do we also say in efforts to help people, but they either squander the help, or they are reluctant to receive the help, or they abuse the help? It's the same way. It's like you're willing to give of yourself, but that person is not really changing. They're not, in other words, they're not changing for the better, meaning you helping them along because they're having a hard time.
But they're staying there in the same spot.
Or they're going backwards, but then they keep expecting you to help them.
Sometimes you got to cut them off right at the knees. You got to say, you know what?
Right.
Enough is enough.
Right.
I've done as much as I can. I've done over in abundance.
Right.
I can't do it no more.
So it's okay for whoever is at their wits' end. They've tried. They've done these things for someone, and it's just been like null and void. Only thing that you can say is you did help, because the person, they never elevated from those circumstances.
Exactly.
Because, you know, I talk to Mom a lot about things that she's concerned about that hasn't changed. And I kept saying, I'm not trying to be a hard nose. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I don't want to talk about that. Because it's the same conversation on a different day, and we've seen the resolve. When are you going to say to yourself, that's what it is?
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm learning how to...
You got a pen over there?
No. Okay. I'm learning how to draw the line in the sand. And do just what we're suggesting as it relates to the question.
Yeah.
You know,
is it ever enough?
And sometimes that is enough. That's it. People need to say to themselves, I gave this a gallant effort. I was consistent. I did it for X amount of time. I feel the release. I got to back away. Yeah. And it's okay to do that when you're not bearing any fruit. So I think that's when it's enough, when you don't see positive fruit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, you can only give so much. And when I say give, I mean that from every aspect, every angle, from your heart your time, your energy, your wisdom, and if that person's not, if they're not soaking in everything that you're giving them, and they continue to do the same thing, you have to cut it off. You have to say, man, is it ever enough? I mean, I can't do anymore, And one thing about me, and it's you too, I mean, I know you because I know your heart, and anybody who's listening, if you're going to give something to anybody, make sure it's from your heart.
Yeah.
And not coming from a place where, you're expecting something back. When you give from your heart, you're going to get it back. It's going to come back tenfold.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is.
It's coming back.
It's coming back to you, but you got to give from your heart. You can't give like the guy we was talking about, thinking like, if I do this, then I'm going to get this when I come in.
Yeah.
That's not good soil right there.
I was just going to say.
That foundation is already shaky.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that.
It's not good
soil has a lot to do with your harvest.
Yes.
If you plant into some unfertile soil,
it ain't gonna grow.
You can't expect anything back. And then another thing, we teach this a lot in Christendom. Whatever you sow, that shall also you reap.
You reap what you sow.
And if you're sowing tomato seeds, you can't expect pomegranates.
Nah.
Because that's not going to show up in your garden.
Nah.
What's going to show up is whatever seed you planted.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, they don't understand that concept because they want whatever it is that they're investing in to work. No matter what anybody says, they're going to defy the odds. Well, you got to look at the signs too.
Yeah.
Common sense, is like, man, 2020, but a lot of people, they just don't have it. So I think, when it's enough is when I see that it's not fruitful.
Yeah. Because you put you put everything into this. You put your heart and your soul into it, and a lot of times, you can find yourself being hurt behind it because you're doing it from your heart, and the person that you're doing it for, the way that they're receiving it is all wrong.
Yeah.
They're receiving it all wrong.
Yeah.
So then it puts you in a light to where you're like, well, dang, I'm feeling bad now because I did this. I put myself out there, and and the person is like, it's almost like they just turn around and kick you right back in the butt. You're like, dude, what did I do to deserve this? When I've been so fruitful to you, and I've been so benevolent to you, and I've been so straightforward with you in terms of everything that I've given, and this is what I get in return after all of this. You gotta just say, man, you know what? Enough's enough.
Yeah. I it's almost like you, and maybe it's just a competitor in us. You don't want to give up on anything because we were trained never to quit.
Yeah.
Just don't quit at anything. If you start it, you need to finish it.
Yeah.
I think what I wrestle with is why wouldn't someone receive something positive to build on? And why can't that co-parent support what is right? Not what is right in their eyes, not as what's right in my eyes, but what is truly right.
Right.
And a lot of times, the person in the middle is affected. The person that it's pretty much proposed to or projected upon, they're the ones that hurt in the end.
Yeah.
And then you have to stand on the sideline and watch that progression. It's almost like it's just like an uncomfortable situation. But this is what I say too. You take solace in what you know is good and what you've planted, and you trust the process that one day that thing is going to germinate in a way to where that person will, you may not even be here anymore, but they'll say, wow, I get it now.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the way that I kind of frame everything to where I won't be bitter to the next person, or I won't stop being who I am because of something that
and it's hard.
And it's hard.
It's hard because I even find myself sometimes, getting caught back up into the same thing where I've, been given of everything, and the next thing I know, I got to catch myself like, whoa. You remember you got yourself hurt last time? Right. Back off. And sometimes I got to catch myself because I can find myself in that same position that I was in when the last person, was ungrateful and everything else. And I gotta say, you know what, man, let me take a couple steps back. I've even found myself getting ready to offer something to someone, and I said, you know what, let me shut it down, because one thing I'm gonna tell you how I live my life too, man. I'm very, very cautious about people who I bring in my circle and people who I befriend or whatever, because I always pose this question to myself: is this person going to treat you the way that you treat them? Ooh. And we learned that from Mom when we were kids, when she told us, everybody's not going to treat you the way you treat them. Yeah. And it's the truth. And I'm sure people listening, it could be some people out there who feel the same way, and some of you guys have probably been the ones that's been the givers of everything, your time, your effort, your energy, and all that, and people have kind of walked all over you. But so when I meet people, I always say, will this person do for me like I will do for them? And even when I say to myself, just thinking sometimes unrealistically, I say to myself, like, okay, if I won $20 million, who would I help? Would I help this person? But I always say to myself, if they had it, would they help you? Right. It means a lot to me.
No, I got you.
Because will they do the same thing for you? And even if you can say, I think they will, even if they probably won't, if you can just say, I think they probably would, then you go from that point. And that's how I kind of live my life.
I got you.
Because everybody's not going to look out for you the way you look out for them.
Makes sense. Yeah. You make a valid point, and I think it begins within, because you gotta develop wisdom, and you have to judge things through a clear lens, and you have to look at your pattern. You have to look at what it is you're investing. If you never count up the cost to see if you have sufficient funds or sufficiency to get it done, then you shouldn't do that investment.
Yeah.
You should not put the time in, the effort in, the sacrifice, because you didn't have enough to begin with. So whatever your premise was, you need to reevaluate it. And I think that's the same way we should be with people. I think if you're prompted to do something out of the kindness of your heart, make sure you do that out of the kindness of your heart, and let that be that.
Yeah.
Don't continue a path that is one way. It's almost like you're traveling down a one-way street. There's no turning back, or you're going to get in it. You're going to get cited for traveling the wrong way. Yeah. And I think that's what we get overwhelmed emotionally, and we get attached to the situation because they're close to us, or they related to us, or we really feel like we can help them. Well, you keep giving an addict resources to get more addicted, that's what's going to happen. And pretty soon they're going to steal from you.
Oh, they steal from them anyway, and they still do it. Because it's that love that they have, and it's usually a family member. It's usually a mother who's going over and beyond for her son or daughter who may be struggling with something. Yeah. And even though they know that that son or daughter may have wronged them, they just feel compelled because they're a parent. Let me continue this. Maybe they'll change. Yeah. If I continue this, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll this last time I do this, maybe they'll say okay. And that's that whole parenting thing that we have. But I'm one of them new parents now where the game done changed. I mean, I can listen. Listen, man. I can love my kids and not allow my kids to take advantage of me. And that's what a lot of these parents, you have to do. because your kids are going to, your kids will break your heart.
Of course.
And they'll push you to the outer limits.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that as these kids become adults, they have their own lives. They're not kids anymore. They're adults.
Yeah.
And don't allow another adult to make you feel a certain way. They are adults. You did your job as a mother or father and raise your kids to the best of your ability. Sometimes we've been fathers and mothers who've been absent from our kids' lives. But it doesn't mean that we don't love them and we didn't love them or whatever. It's just because of the circumstances.
Circumstances, yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you got some sort of rapport with your kids, then that's what it is. And like I said, when kids become adults, they got their own lives. Especially when they're not, I'm not talking about 18, I'm talking about adult kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see things all the times where, these mothers and fathers going through with their 30-something-year-old kid, son or daughter, and they're letting their kids just take them through the ringer. I'm saying to myself, like, really?
Yeah.
Why would you allow that for yourself? Love your son and love your daughter, and whatever thing, all that other stuff, you gotta just let it go. Maybe one day they'll wake up and say, you know what? I treated my mom or dad, real bad on this thing, or maybe they won't wake up. But at the end of the day, you got to keep on loving your kids and just give them that love.
That's true.
And know that you and step back and say, hey, you know what? I love you, and I'm here. And if you want to, come on in here, the door's open.
I got you.
And that's what you got to do. And you got to just kind of move on. You can't allow yourself to be mistreated because this is my,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be able to do it.
Right.
I ain't gonna be able to do it.
I take away from that what you said to encourage someone that's viewing who has a spouse or has a significant other that you've been patient, you've been consistently assisting, you've been optimistic, and it has brought forth a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, and you want to know where do you go from here. I believe that some of the content can give you a tool or two to where you can reevaluate it and reassess it
And give you some clarity.
and to understand where all of this is stemming from, because sometimes it could be us. We could see the writing on the wall and we become what you would consider an enabler. And that's never good, even though you're doing it from a warm place in your heart. So I relish in the moment that we're able to experience on this subject alone, because it's food for thought. Is it ever enough on all levels, from every spectrum, from a job to a career to economics,
to a
relationships? It's all relevant. And so I just want to say thanks for mentioning it, because I can revisit this and go even deeper, and apply it to my personal life, because we're all challenged with something. So I want to say thank you to each viewer. Thank you for your support. I want you to like, subscribe, and share this content. We appreciate the Coalesce Group and the Fruit Off the Vine clothing apparel for allowing us to associate and attach our name to your brand. We appreciate you dearly. And so listen, tell someone that we're on and that we're doing this consistently, and hopefully it'll benefit you and others. I'm gonna throw it to Charlie Mack so he can get us out of here, and it's been a joy as always.
Thank you guys for listening. The content that we bring here, me and my brother, we don't sit here and proclaim to be experts in whatever, but we're just like you. We're just speaking from our mind, and we're speaking from life experiences. As you guys have probably had the same problems that we've had, and you have probably had the same experiences in life. That's all that we're doing. We're just giving it to you guys on an open forum, and allowing you guys to kind of take it all in and think about it. So just let it go. So thanks for listening, And thanks for viewing. And go ahead and take the seatbelts off, guys. We stopped. Peace and love.
Peace.